everybody, welcome back to the Triforce podcast. That's right, 3 dads, well, 2 dads and 1 non-dad.
Yes.
And we're back. After all this time, it's been a while. It's been a good long while since we've done another Triforce podcast.
2 weeks.
Yeah, well,
2 weeks. So this won't go out for another week. So
well, that's the thing, because it's the summer vacation, so everybody's like away doing stuff. The kids are off school, so we have to look after our kids. Flax has been at the Dota 2 International tournament for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Lewis has been just lost in his dungeon apartment. He just doesn't know how to get out of it most of the time. And me, I've been here ready, waiting. Like every Thursday, I'm ready to go, and nobody turns up. So whatever.
There's been a lot on.
We didn't do it last Thursday. We did it the Thursday before that, didn't we? Because it was that shitty audio from my laptop.
It was terrible, P-Flax. Your camera audio. I said you should have just recorded it on your fucking camera, and we could have used that audio.
Yeah, we should have.
Jesus Christ, like it was so bad. Anyway. We're back.
Yeah.
We always apologize, right, for not doing podcasts or missing a week, but we don't have to because this is part of the understanding of the podcast that we're going to miss a week. We're not even going to be around next week because I'm in Gamescom. Well, I might be able to remote in from Gamescom.
I think we have a responsibility, though, that we need to take a little bit more seriously because some people depend on this, as their weekly sort of source of dad news.
There's loads of other great podcasts out there, guys. Just don't
It's
worry.
one of the better ones.
Don't listen to any of the other podcasts. Don't listen to any of the other ones.
No.
This is the only one.
I've been reading some books. I've been busy doing stuff, enjoying life, making the most of my time.
You've been reading
playing
books.
Hearthstone.
You've been reading books.
Nice.
Yeah, I finally got round to reading a book that someone bought me, like for a present.
Can
like
I make a guess? Can I make a prediction here, please?
Go ahead.
This is going to be one of those books that you read, Lewis, that then becomes
Mein Kampf.
your new thing. And it's going to be something like why you shouldn't close doors behind you or something like that. And you're going to be like, the thing is, closing doors is actually really bad for the environment. And it's going to be like a new thing. And every time I close a door now, you're going to guilt trip me about it. That's what this is going to be.
The noise pollution from slamming doors is causing birds to be very stressed.
Exactly.
And
it just propagates a lot of unwanted kinetic energy that the universe does not need. Like there's enough of it out there.
Doesn't need it.
So.
Exactly, it's terrible. So, no, I read Ready Player One, right, which is a classic. It's being made into a movie, I think, at the moment.
And it shouldn't be made into a movie. I'm very disappointed that it's received.
Have you read it?
I have.
Oh.
My dad's a massive fan of this book, all right? And he said to me, you'll love it. It's great.
It's a great book.
It is the most forced attempt at a feeling of nostalgia that I think I've ever read. And it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's a bad book,
right?
In my opinion, and I don't understand why it's received such praise.
I've heard about it, but I haven't actually read it. I feel like maybe I should read it.
It took me about 5 hours to read, so it's not a particularly long one.
It's a quick read.
Yeah, it's definitely, I've lost more hours than that playing Hearthstone today.
True.
It feels like.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? So, it's some of these books I've been putting off. I've realised actually that they're not short as long-winded as I thought, especially bearing in mind how long I play some of these games. So, by the way, Divinity, we used to play Divinity 2 in that RPG, right? Just as a aside.
The salt mine.
Before we
that almost broke up our flourishing friendship.
Well, that's the thing, because Larian put out this RPG player survey where they surveyed like 15,000 people who play Divinity. Now, I guess they sourced the people from, people who visit Divinity website or follow the Divinity Twitter or that kind of people. And so the people who responded to this survey are definitely very strange. But one of the things I noticed was that one of the questions was, what do you feel is the ideal length of an RPG?
Right.
What's your answer to that, guys?
Mine is like about 80 hours.
However long The
I think.
Witcher was.
Oh, that's quite long.
I'm old school with my opinion on this. I'm going to say between 80 and 90 hours. Final Fantasy style from like the 90s. I thought that was like a good amount of time to play an RPG. Good like character development, decent enough story you can fit into sort of 80 to 90 hours without it like waffling along too much sort of thing, sidetracking too much.
The Witcher 3 I felt was very long, and that I completed that in 50 hours.
Okay.
It says.
I think if you
but
just...
I didn't do all the side quests.
I'm guessing about halfway through it right now. I'm playing it.
Where are you in The Witcher 3?
I've pretty much just finished up Novigrad main quest. So the next main quest I have is to go to Skellige. So
But there's absolutely tons of stuff to come.
But I've done a lot of sidetracking. I've done a lot of secondary quests and like Witcher contracts and stuff, which I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
But I think like I get the feeling that if you just stick to the main quest and you don't bother with a lot of the extra fluff, which you might be missing out on a couple of bits and pieces if you did it, it's probably like, it feels like it would be about maybe 50 to 60 hours. For like the main sort of quest.
Yeah. I think that. Well, I've just looked at a thing. There's a how long to beat thing, and it says The Witcher 3 is 167 hours if you want to do all of it and all the DLC and every single quest in the game. But
did you do the DLC?
I did a bunch. I've got about 55 hours in the game. I did the DLC. I did the main story. I did enough side quests that I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I felt like I did the side quests until they got very repetitive, which they did. But I really enjoyed it as a game, and I thought that it was a good length. Yeah, you're right, PFAX. But so in this survey, 25% of people said their ideal length of an RPG is 100 hours or more, and I mean that is obviously it's to some extent like I think people are just saying, I just want the most possible out of my game. A lot of people are just saying, well, I just want a really really long game.
I mean, I think I understand that though. I think with an RPG, it's kind of the same as like for me. Watching Game of Thrones. Like, you get immersed in it, and you feel like it's something that you'd like to be immersed in for quite some time. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'm watching Game of Thrones, and I think to myself, I hope this never ends. Like, I just love, like, the world that's created. I like the characters, all the, like, the different factions and stuff, and I could watch this for much longer than it'll probably go on for, sort of thing. But I guess, like anything, if it goes on too long or if it overstays its welcome, then it can start to become a bit bad or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, I get that people would want a longer experience, but I think you can tell a better story in a shorter amount of time and keep it tight and get your points across.
Exactly. I think it's harder to tell a story across this, because a lot of these games, the story is often secondary, but RPGs, you have to have the story up front and center good. And I think that by trying to fill up empty hours or trying to hit an arbitrary cap, you end up with a lot of crappy story getting in there, and that kind of deflates the whole thing. I think that you're right, but I think something short will be good. But the other thing that I really noticed, that this is the one thing that really jumps out at the survey, is when they start talking about co-op. So the people who respond to this series do not want co-op multiplayer, right?
Right.
So here, how much do you value these features in an RPG? Okay.
Right.
So story rich.
Yep.
Like basically everyone said very important. Okay, it's like 90% very important. Tactical combat, people didn't care. They were like moderately. They were like in the middle on that one. Character progression, massively very important to them. Co-op, not important at all. Massively. 90% of people said co-op for them is just not important in an RPG at all, which is really interesting because, we really enjoyed RPGs, but also we did argue a lot.
Yeah.
We did kind of fall out in this weird way.
I think that when people play role-playing games, like when you play Dungeons and Dragons or something, it's a social experience, right?
Yeah.
But when you play a role-playing game on the PC, I think people see it as a chance to enjoy a world just on their own without having to worry about someone else wanting to do the same thing. And if you think about computer games, I play a lot of Dota, as you guys know, and you're relying on 4 other people. It gets frustrating when you're relying on other people and you can see what they're doing wrong and they're not doing it. And it's the same in RPGs. If you're like, let's go down this corridor, and you're like, no, guys, we should go down this corridor. It's like, if you're a single-player game, which a role-playing game generally is, you could just get down whichever flipping corridor you want.
I think that's
there's no argument.
I think it's very difficult to... The other thing that we found when we were playing together was that we were never reading any story. We were never sort of stopping at our own pace. We were almost always dictated by other people's pace, and their pace usually was more sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes you wanted to be slow and sometimes they wanted to be slow.
Yeah.
But you were never quite in sync because you're different people and you're interested in slightly different things and different ways in that RPG. Because it felt like...
The experience is definitely different, isn't it? Like you said, you don't read the story as much when you play with people, but the experience of playing through it with other people... You almost don't really need the story. You know what I mean? You're just coming up against problems that you're trying to solve. Yeah, so it opens it up for you to have your own story as a team of people working together. Whereas, the single player experience, you are going to just be really invested in the story. It's almost like it's 2 separate games, like single player and then co-op.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of cool, actually. Like, I personally, I don't think I would play Divinity alone. I'd rather play it with, somebody or like you guys, like a group of people, because I found that more fun than just playing through it all by myself. Like, as much as I probably would have liked the story, I would have skipped a lot of it.
Yeah, but it still felt like a single player game that we were playing co-op. Like, I think that was my issue with it. Is it didn't feel like sometimes you want to do something or try something and the other people don't want to do that. And in a single player game, obviously you could do whatever you like. So like when I play The Witcher, I have that freedom. And because it's a big open world, you can pretty much do whatever you like. Now, if we were playing The Witcher 3-player, for one thing, would you guys have followed me around for 20 hours while I went and got every Gwent card in the game? No, and that would be incredibly boring for anybody else. So it's like, that is a real single player.
If you paid me money, I would have, maybe.
Jeez. And the second time through that, I played it first time through as far as where I was going to leave for Skellige. I went to Skellige and I immediately thought, like, in fact, this was last TI. I had to go to TI, so I came back and I'd forgotten how to play it, and it sat on the shelf. I just played Dota for 3 months, and then I tried to pick it back up again, and it didn't work. So I had to start again from scratch, and I was glad I did that because I played it through slightly differently, and I actually really enjoyed it. I think it's a fabulous game. Definitely one of the best games I've ever played. And if I'd had to play it with another person, I think it would have been a completely different experience and nowhere near as fun. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
Well, no, I get it.
Games lend. I think with The Witcher, being that you control one character and it's pretty straightforward. Like the combat is not really strategic, apart from parrying and dodging and killing a group of guys that get the jump on you or whatever. Whereas in Divinity, like a fight can last for like an hour.
Oh yeah,
depending on how you cut it and how your guys are built and stuff.
It's much more strategic, much more.
Yeah.
Every frickin' fight in bloody Divinity was a strategic battle. Because you'd bump into something that seems fairly simple and you get wiped out by it, and you're like, Jesus, there's no fighting in this game that's easy.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it a lot playing with you guys.
I did too.
Admit.
Like as salty as we got,
it's 100% different experience.
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes a lot of the people on this survey, right, are very single player focused, because I think traditionally that's what RPGs have been, and a little bit like reading a book. You do get into it, and you do want that. Sometimes I want that experience, but when I play games these days, I try not to play them solo. I feel like if I'm going to do something solo, it can be off the computer.
Yeah. I mean, another thing to consider as well is
in my own bedroom.
Where we're coming from. we do this. We do this for a living, right? We play these games. We earn a living off of it. I'm not sure that the three of us would play Divinity together and finish it from start to finish without it being recorded and putting up somewhere. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know though. Like, well, maybe not us, but I think other people do, right? I was looking around. Jane in the office was playing through Borderlands 1 and 2 with some of her friends, and they were doing that just offline for fun as like a thing, and they really had a good blast going through that. Yeah. I know, Pyrion, people play games for fun.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, so I mean, we're kind of intertwined with the business side. So you're back from TI. What was your verdict compared to previous TIs? Go on, let's have a rundown of what we've been doing in our
segue.
In our lives.
Christ.
Sorry. I took it. I was just looking at that survey. And it just made me think. That's all. It made me think a little bit.
So TI this year was very mechanical, it felt to me, compared to TI 6. TI 6, I think, was most people that I've spoken to, that was their favourite. That was the previous TI, obviously. And it felt like it had a bit more charm and a bit more humour, but it also had great games and great storylines, and it was fantastic. It was a brilliant TI. And it had a great meta as well. Like, it was a very, very good version of Dota. TI 7 also had a very good version of Dota. Wonderful games, like some wonderful games, and Liquid winning it was brilliant. It was a brilliant run that they made, and it was like an against all odds thing. All the Chinese teams seemed unbelievably strong, beat everybody else, and Liquid just did it. And some very clutch games, wonderful performances, and the games were great. But they went for this panel this year that was a newcomer to Dota, relative newcomer in day 9. I know he's been watching TI for years, but he's only started playing like a year ago, I think, if that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, you can watch football without playing it. You can watch Dota without playing it. It is harder to understand it. And a lot of the time I feel like if I didn't play Dota and I was trying to watch it, it would be a hell of a lot harder to follow what was going on. And I know there are moments when you're watching it with people who don't really know the game. Someone will do something, and people who play the game a lot will go, ooh, like it's, oh, you see,
like, wow.
You're like, holy shit, I understand exactly how hard that was and what a brilliant play it was and all the rest of it. But if you're just watching it as a casual observer, you'd be sort of like just looking for the team fights, basically, and the big spells. You wouldn't see the subtlety to it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but even team fights, I think, are very hard to follow unless you're a Dota player,
cool,
because they're so quick. Like stuff that's happening, you really have to play the game to learn. Like, okay, this guy's here, these things are going to go off. You have to know who's playing and what to predict and what to expect, and you only really get that from playing the game.
It's true, but I think it is still possible, especially the commentators do a great job of building up the hype, so you can still watch it and feel that emotion. But I think
sometimes that's all it is. Like, if you get a charismatic enough commentator, he can get anyone excited about anything.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Fuck, like, oh my god, this guy's making a sandwich, he's getting 2 slices of bread, he's doing it from the butter, and oh my god, he's got the ham, he's got the tomato, he's got the mustard, oh my god, he's done it, he's made a sandwich. Do you know what I mean? That kind of,
wow.
you get
every day. Holy
that
shit.
crazy like commentary going.
You
could get someone psyched about fucking anything.
Oh, I got a lot of respect for Dota 2 commentators, though. Like, team fights, like you said, are pretty messy. It's hard to know what's going on at the best of times. Even if you play the game, they can be pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
And keeping track of all of the abilities that are going off, all the spells and synergies and everything, and most of these guys cast it pretty flawlessly. And I always think that must just be such a hard thing to do, and you must be so conscious of yourself doing it as well, try not to screw up, and
I mean that's I think that the pressure that they feel, that's interesting that you say that, because I mean these guys have been doing it for a long time, right? They're very confident and comfortable doing it. The analyst position is a little harder. So you've got your commentator, your co-commentator would generally be someone more knowledgeable, and they'll be the ones after the action has been called and it's like a huge team fight, just like Lewis was doing with the sandwich, they'll come in and say, yeah, what changed it there was this spell usage or this item, and they'll say, didn't manage to get so-and-so off in time, and that was what turned the fight. So they'll spot that one detail that they're meant to do that you could easily miss, but their appreciation of the game and their ability to spot that stuff is so much higher level that to them it's obvious, right? Yeah. So day nine is more like I think he's a commentator like for StarCraft 2, right? Like he knows that game inside out.
He does casting. It's really good.
StarCraft 2 commentator.
I'm a huge fan
of course. He's brilliant. I used to watch his stuff when I was into StarCraft 2. This is before Dota. I would watch his podcasts and his YouTube videos and him and Husky, and I would try and learn the game, and I'd watch replays, and I was really, really into StarCraft. And when he knows his game, I think he's much more confident. And I feel like they put him on a panel with 3 experts, so 3 either pro or 3 current pros or ex-pros, and I think it was a very difficult conversation for him to have, because he's coming in from a much sort of lower level of understanding, and they're all talking about the game at a vastly higher level of understanding. So I think him being able to mediate that conversation is much more difficult. So I'm not so sure that having 3 experts on the panel was the way to go for his sake, and I think also for the audience's sake, it was too much. You don't need 3 experts, because there's generally one agreed version of what happened. Why did Liquid win? They did this better than anyone else. Okay, end of conversation. There's no need to.
If you have a real expert, that's fine. But I think that sometimes Dota, especially even the pros and all the experts, don't see everything, and because they all happen so quick, and sometimes they get it wrong. I mean, I imagine that's one of the worst things about being a commentator is that going onto Twitter or Reddit and just seeing things you've missed. It's like, oh shit, actually, yeah, this is oh my god, this guy's right, and I think that these guys have to be confident enough that they're convincing enough that in their own stuff. They can't be unsure about themselves. And I think having 3 people to discuss that and bounce off, if they have a consensus, fucking fantastic. But I don't know if you're gonna if they'll be as comfortable if there aren't extra voices. And also, we know what it's like, PFLAX, to have extra voices there is very useful, because it means that someone is always waiting to jump in and give their input. You never get dead air if you have 4 people at the casting desk.
Well, but that's the problem. It's not about the dead air. It's about trying to have a conversation. And imagine if I were say to you guys, the Triforce podcast is a podcast that involves me, Lewis, and Sips. We would all agree on that.
Yeah.
What do you have to add to that? I mean, if you want to add detail, you can.
I mean, I would probably mention as well that I'm good looking. Probably.
Right.
I think if you were to rate all 3 of us against each other, I would probably come out tops. Like, considering,
you're going with that?
Yeah, I would add that to the conversation. I would say,
I see.
That Sips guy.
You're the good-looking one.
But see, this is actually more conversation.
Is the one with
and
more
dare
experience.
I say disagreement than happened on the panel.
No, I'd say
the panel was like much less opinion and much more fact.
I would move to censor those opinions immediately because they contradict my own opinions about
I'm just saying,
buff
opinion
and good-looking I am.
Opinion, schmopinion.
Yeah.
Let's talk in absolutes.
Yeah, but listen,
Right.
another thing that I thought was great on the panel, like I didn't watch TI exhaustively. I watched it, bits and pieces, and I enjoyed it. I like the tournament atmosphere. The games are very exciting. The production quality of TI is very nice as well. And it's just a fun tournament to sort of like keep up with for the 2 weeks that it's on for.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting.
But I was really impressed when they had they had Arteezy on the panel at one point.
Yeah, that's great.
And
that's great. Guest panelists that have been knocked out is
and you think
phenomenal.
This guy's a pro. He's not a caster. He's not like he's not a panelist sort of thing. Like it'd be interesting to see what he has to say, because sometimes these guys, they get up there, they're not used to like casting or being a panelist. They're not used to really being interviewed that much or whatever. They play the game pretty hardcore and they're very good at the game. But actually getting his insights into the game that was coming up to see, he predicted what like the picks were going to be. He predicted what the counter picks were going to be, and like that knowledge of like the patch and the meta is crazy. You can play the game so much and still not really have that really specific insight into like those picks and counter picks, and it's just really interesting to see.
That's kind of what TI is. It's not really just a measure of skill, because all the players that play at TI are unbelievably good. Yeah. Right. Obviously, there are some that are better, but we're talking about the very top, like 0.01% of Dota players worldwide competing at a tournament. It really is that high level. So the skill gap between the winner and the team that finished last is not that huge. It really isn't. Like this, you couldn't honestly say that the players that finished 10th were way, way, way worse than the guys that won. Because in other tournaments, we've seen, like OG, for instance, didn't do well at this TI, but they won 4 majors. So one of the things that matters at TI is who understands the game as it is best played right now. Like, what is the best way to play the game right now? That is one thing. And some teams have a better understanding of others of how to win games of Dota in this patch. And the other thing is literally who has the balls and who isn't going to get scared. That's it. Like, all the players talk about pressure and fear. And when they go out there, and I mean, imagine walking out. You're normally playing this game on your own. So going back to what you guys were saying about co-op games, Dota is basically a team game, but you essentially play it on your own. You're in your room, you're controlling your hero, you're watching the other heroes, but you're not controlling them. All of a sudden, you're in a booth next to the other people you're playing with, and there's like 12,000 people screaming around you, lights and all the rest of it, and millions of people are watching around the world. I wonder if pressure any of those is immense.
I wonder if there's ever a situation where those pro players are like up on stage in the booth playing with each other, playing their heroes, getting through a game, and one of the teammates just turning around like right before a team fight is about to kick off and calling another teammate a gutless cunt. Do you think that's something that would ever happen in a pro game?
You were gutless in that play. I watched the video. I felt bad for what I said, but I was 100% right.
So P-Flax watched back a old Dota video of him calling Sips that. And I think that when we used to play Dota together, the three of us, that was just par for the course, P-Flax. Like, none of us batted an eyelid about that. That was, me and you would have these incredible, like, arguments, but both of us would have this big grin on our face throughout.
Honestly, I've played Dota with a lot of people that infuriate me, and I've infuriated a million people when I play Dota with them. You still do it. Like, I played it this morning. It was great. I mean, I just love it. I mean, I've reached this point now where I'm kind of philosophical about it, and when I make a mistake or someone makes a big mistake, you can laugh. Like there's a guy that I play with quite often, and he was Tidehunter, and he double tapped his blink. If you don't play Dota, what that means is you blink back towards your own base. So he was trying to blink in as Tidehunter to Ravage, which is a big spell that stuns everybody in a huge area. He was going to blink in, he's going to Ravage, we're going to win the fight and win the game, and he double tapped blink and Ravage. So he blinked away from the fight, Ravaged, and we lost the game. Now, if I was like your average raging pub player, I would never play with that guy again, and it would be awful. But I play with them all the time. People fuck up. It's funny.
Yeah.
I don't mind a big mistake like that.
No.
But I hate cowardice, Sips. I won't abide.
No, you don't mind a big mistake so that you can just blame and shame them after the fact, and but carry on like nothing happened. That's cool, Flax. I get it. I understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've seen you play games, Sips, and you get ridiculously angry. We played Dota the other night. You were angry that the hero in lane was using his abilities on you.
I know. I hate that.
Like you were furious.
I think if you're gonna, if you're gonna
fucking stupid game. It's
oh,
like,
I know,
he's
but
just casting a spell
if you're gonna
on
queue
you.
up and play Dota against me, don't use your fucking abilities, okay? Let me win.
That's literally
I'm
it.
a fragile man, okay? I need to have a couple of wins to have a good night, okay? So no, it is. You get into like a rut with Dota though. You play it, you play it a bit, and then you sort of, especially in games when you're playing with guys like Shane. Like Shane's got like is like 5k MMR. So like playing a game with him means that automatically you're going to be playing with people who are much better than you.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
And it's really soul destroying. It sucks playing against people who are very, very much so better than you. You know what I mean? Like I can just about handle a game in solo queue where I'm amongst people that are generally my skill level or whatever. But playing in games where people are just completely miles ahead of you in terms of every game mechanic and whatever it can be pretty frustrating. Like,
it is. But I tell you what, I veer between playing with people that are way, way worse than me, as good as me, or much better than me. And when I play against the people who are much better than me, and then I play against the shitters, it is hilarious how much easier the game is. Like, if you play enough against good players, you'll spot the stuff you can't get away with. And you'll know exactly how far you can push your hero, because they will.
Yeah.
But when you play against the absolute shitters, the game is like, it's like easy mode. It's wonderful. And you just run all over them. We won a game that was like a 20-minute stomp. Just crushed them. These kids had no idea what to do. It was brilliant.
But I guess in terms of, if you want to play the game and you want to get better, it's probably better to practice against people that are better than you, right? Because then it's a more meaningful sort of practice. You'll generally probably improve skill-wise playing against people that are better than you, as opposed to playing really easy games where you just stomp people, get
but it's not
complacent
relaxing.
and lazy.
Like if you're just having a calm game of Dota in the evening and you queue into a 5k stack and you're like 2.5k, you're not going to have a fun time. Like you're just not. You're going to have to play the 5 support. You're not going to get any cool items. You're not going to get many kills. You just die a lot and just do the job and win the game. It is methodically, tediously boring. It really can be.
Yeah.
So let's move on from Dota. What have you guys been up to otherwise? You got any like real life stories?
Playing Dota, actually. Like we've just been playing Dota. So let's talk about Dota a bit more than now that we've
So Kurt, Sips' son, sent me some art that he did.
Oh man.
And he's sent me art before.
Man, he's getting really good at art.
I was very impressed with it.
Yeah.
So I was like, can you send me some more? And he sent me a whole pack of like 20 things he's drawn.
Yeah,
it's like 20 pages of stuff. And so I was like, damn, this is some serious time has gone into this. I feel kind of bad. Like, you know, I need to return, like, it's like if someone texts you like a selfie of themselves, right? Or something like this. It's almost like automatic that you want to, you have to reply with the selfie. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But if someone does something for you, you have to kind of like do stuff back, right? It's kind of that's how things go. So I feel like I need to do some art to send back to your son.
Okay.
So I bought a canvas, like a couple of canvases, half price. And I bought like a starter pack of oil paints.
Sure.
And so I'm going to paint something for your son.
Great, okay.
And send it to him.
On a canvas?
Do not paint a portrait of my wife, okay? That's the only thing. That's you can't do that, okay? Because it'll offend her. I'm sure it will. Like,
wow.
Because when people like do a portrait
she is
of
an
somebody,
oil painting already, Sips.
But the thing is, like, you can't do an oil painting of somebody and send it to them, okay? Because it's always going to be offensive, isn't it? Because like it doesn't matter how good some people are exceptionally good, so maybe not so much that. But like if you have questionable art skills, I don't think you should be doing portraits of people.
My art skills are non-existent.
Okay, so do not do a portrait of anyone in my family and send it to my family. Okay,
why don't you want that?
Because they will be pissed.
Why would they be
pissed? Because I can't do it anyway. I mean, how are you kidding me?
Because
I could give it a go. Now I'm up for it.
Right, okay.
But it'll be like some Picasso, crazy surrealist
I'm just
shit.
curious, Sips, you'd be offended by someone doing a portrait of someone in your family?
Not really, no. But I'm just saying,
I'm just curious.
Don't do an oil painting of me and give me a bigger nose than I already have or something that.
It's not going to be like looking into a mirror. I'm not fucking some sort of Renaissance Dutch artist who's been commissioned to sort of get a photorealistic picture. Do you know what I mean? She'll be lucky to have a fucking nose and set of ears.
I'm not sure what the expectation was. You were like, I got canvas, I got some oil paintings, and I got some charcoal and stuff. I thought you were a fucking really like hotshot artist. That sounds legit to me.
Shit, Sips. I'm garbage. Like, you know, but your son is so open to like just doing anything. It made me think, damn, you know, if he's willing to give it a go, I should be willing to give it a go.
In the pictures that he sent to you, did he send you pictures of Ghostbusters?
Yeah, there were like some there's
probably a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's characters.
There's a bunch of really cool modern art stuff, which is just colors splashed all over the place. And I was inspired by that. I just thought, man.
Yeah, some of those might have been my daughter's as well, because she like when my son is like drawing and coloring and stuff, she doesn't even know what she's doing. But she needs to join in. Like, she has to do whatever he's doing, right? And oftentimes, like, has to use the crayon that he's using at that time as well, which is kind of annoying because they fight about it and stuff.
Right.
But so he'll be sitting there drawing something like you know, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, or, you know, these Five Nights at Freddy's characters or whatever. And he's got like all this lore behind them. He's talking about them. He likes to draw like Pokemons and stuff as well.
Nice.
He started inventing his own Pokemons, which is pretty cute too.
Okay.
So, you know, he's sitting there doing that, and he's like talking about what he's drawing, and he's saying like, oh, look at this and stuff. And my daughter's just trying to mimic everything that he's doing. So she'll be like, she's got the pen, and she'll be like, pen? And I'm like, yeah, you're holding a pen. She's like, pen. It's like, yeah, you're holding a pen. And she's like looking at you so that you tell her what to draw. So you're like, all right, well, draw a picture of a car. Okay. And then she just like does like a little mark on the page and looks up like for that approval. And you're like, whoa, that's amazing. And then she starts laughing and stuff. And then she sort of looks at you again, and you're like, okay, draw a ball. Okay, just like a little mark. Hey, start clapping and stuff.
I mean, I feel like that's me in art, though. I'm going to be exactly like that, you know, so because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
I can help you after we're done this if you want.
I got a question.
Go on.
My question is this. If another man delivered a beautiful painting of your wife to your house, you'd kill him, wouldn't you? You'd kill him.
It depends, though. Like, I don't think I would. If he was the Hunchback of Notre Dame, no, I wouldn't kill him. Actually,
I'd fucking kill him.
I wouldn't feel threatened
that's
at all.
A death sentence. That's a death sentence in the Flax household.
You'd have to learn more, right?
With a fucking painting of my wife that you've done. What else? What are you doing?
No.
Like that's an attempted cucking right there. I tell you what. Let's get right in the bonfire, and the artist is next.
If Don Draper turned up to my house, rang the doorbell, and was holding a portrait that he'd painted of my wife, I'd be like, Don, you better step the fuck off. You know, get out of here, okay? Don't let my wife see you, okay? You're a handsome man. And I don't want her to think that you're fucking artistic and in love with her and stuff either. Go away, please, Don Draper. But, like, man, if it was like, you know, fucking Napoleon Dynamite's brother that turned up with a painting, I'd be like, whatever, you nerd. Like, fine,
get out of here, Todd.
Get out of here. I'll fucking give her the painting and stuff. I wouldn't feel threatened at all in that case. Maybe that's just me, like.
So, but then you're making a decision there that is like, is this person a threat? But it's not just the threat; it's the intention. It's not just whether they're an actual threat. They're intending to. You'd have a painting of your wife painted by another man hanging on the wall. It's like permanent reminder that some other dude is coveting your wife. What? She's seen it. It's too late, Sips.
Well, did she pose
She's
for
like,
this?
This is beautiful. And he's done it from memory, which is even creepier.
Was she naked in it?
Yeah, she's naked, and it's clearly painted from a photo taken with a long lens.
Okay, but listen.
And she says,
God.
This is beautiful. This is such a lovely paint. I'm going to hang this in the bedroom, Sips. What do you think of that? And every time we're making love, you can look up and see Todd. It's Todd's painting. Staring down at you.
I know, but the thing is, if you're too heavy-handed about it, she might start to think, like, if you were like, no, I'm not having that painting up there, I'm really closed to, like, this open discussion and stuff, she might be like, oh, maybe I can find a confidant in Todd, in his loving embrace. You know, you might push her.
You don't want to be
away.
Heavy-handed when you're doing that.
No, yeah.
I am permanently heavy-handed. I can't help it. So
you don't want
I
to be
would smash it up in front of him, right there on the doorstep. I'd say, Jim, can you just wait here for 2 seconds and I'll come back with a claw hammer and just smash it to bits? So there you go.
Come back
How
with
would
a
you smash it?
blowtorch.
It's not a fucking sculpture. It's a piece of art on a canvas.
Yeah. What does a canvas have around it, Lewis?
Well, it's got like a wooden sort of
frame.
backing.
What do you think a
Yeah.
claw hammer will do to that? Short work. It'll make short work of that piece of so-called art.
He's put like a lot of hours into that.
Good
Listen,
luck.
what if it was incredibly unflattering and you thought, oh
Then
god,
the hammer goes in him, right in his dome.
Wow. This is all pretty extreme. I don't know, like, what do you think the ramifications of these actions? I think your wife would think that you're fucking psycho, for starters.
yeah.
Nah, she knows that I am.
I think it's causing too much trouble.
Not only claw hammer a portrait, but then claw hammer a man in his dome.
I wouldn't
think-
actually hurt another human being. So
No, of course not.
But the threat of it is lingering.
I think you've got this all wrong, guys. Look, if he comes in, right, and he's like, oh, you're like, oh, you've done a painting. Good for you. Come and see. And you watch the awkward interaction as he presents it to your wife. You just let him dig his own grave. He's not going to suddenly like sweep her off her feet and she go, oh, Todd,
How do you know?
come back after all these years. I've
How do
been
you
thinking
know?
about you.
Man.
Every night I have to wake up and look at that bald head.
Oh, take a
and
chance.
I've been thinking about your long
Yeah, what if he had hair?
Amazonian hair. Oh,
A hairy
Todd,
man, a hair-having man comes to my
take
house
me
with a
away
portrait.
from this hellhole.
Man, you know what I do?
I wouldn't stand for it.
You know what my play on this would be?
Go on.
As soon as I heard the doorbell ring and I had any sort of inkling that a man was standing out there with a portrait that he'd done of my wife, okay?
Right.
I would immediately rush into the kitchen and start doing the dishes, okay? So that I could be doing the dishes. And while I was doing the dishes, I'd also put the dinner on as well. I would start the dinner cooking. So then after my wife answers the door and she's like, oh my God, this man's just turned up to our house and given me a portrait that he's painted of me, I would be like, oh, that's great, honey. Hang on, I'm just getting through these dishes and the dinner's on too. So like, just give me a second. But like, that's great. I'm so happy that he's done that. And then I think that you cover yourself perfectly in that case, because then she's like, oh, you know what? This guy's done a portrait, but oh, my husband's doing the dishes and like fucking cooking the dinner and stuff. And like, I got a lot of respect for that. So I'm just going to bust this portrait over my knee and chase this guy down with a claw hammer while he's doing that. And then
Right.
I think that would be really good. I think that's the best way to play it. I'm not saying that you have to do the dishes and do the dinner like all the time. Just in that one.
I do that all the time anyway,
instance.
so I don't think there'll be no difference.
Have you guys ever drawn anything or been artistic in any way? Or
Yeah.
ever?
I'm not bad at art. I'm okay.
Okay.
I can hold my own.
What kind of things have you done lately or ever?
Oh, lately nothing. I mean, I'm horribly lazy. Like I just play video games. So
Yeah.
at school, I was like fairly artistic. Like I did pretty good in like art class and stuff. When I was a kid, I used to like drawing a lot and painting, coloring and stuff. And I was all right at it. Like all things considered, like that's okay. I can help my son with stuff. Like he's like, oh, can you draw me the Ecto 1 or whatever? And like he can give me a picture of the Ecto 1 and I can copy it and it looks okay and stuff. So that's about it. Like I'm not like an actual artist though. Like I don't sit down and fucking just draw stuff for fun or whatever. But like I'm all right. I'm proficient. I think.
Wow.
I got techniques, shading techniques. I know some. When you just like smudge the pencil to make some shading and stuff, and like thatching and crap like that.
I was thinking much more in terms of like for me, it's all about like just thinking up dumb ideas like. Like you go I've been to a lot of modern art galleries, okay?
Right.
Because I've just ended up doing it. And I feel like I've been to them all over the place. And a lot of them are consistently eye-rolly, right? You go in there and you're like, oh, you roll your eyes at this thing and you move to the next room and you're like, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And you roll your eyes and then you move on to the next thing. And it's just like, that's basically me. My eyes are just goggling all out.
But wait, how many of these places have you been to? Because like I'd only have to go to a place once and do that to know that I'd never want to go again.
But I kind of enjoy. Like I was thinking about this. Okay, like so I was listening to this podcast. I was listening to Russell Brand's podcast.
what's
okay?
wrong?
I
Wow.
know.
God
I
damn
know.
it, Jesus.
And he interviewed this guy who was like who's an Anglican, like not preacher, Anglican
Bishop?
just like a clergyman, a priest, a priestman
Sure.
in
Priestman.
English.
A preacher man.
And he used to be a sort of molecular biologist. And the reason he went back he had this sort of story about the reason he sort of, after being a scientist, he went back to religion was because there were certain things that science couldn't explain, right? And one of them was the beauty of a flower. It's like, how to explain the beauty of a flower? And I was kind of, I don't know, there's something about that. And I kind of felt that same way. Like when I went around these modern art galleries, although I definitely my eyes were just all over the floor, rolling down the corridors, it was, some things were like, actually, I quite like that. And I don't know why. I find that beautiful or interesting or pleasurable to look at, and I don't know why. So I feel like I've always enjoyed going around these modern art galleries just as an experience. And I don't know, it's just, I hate portraits. I hate portrait galleries. I hate like some of these realistic things and landscapes. And I hate a lot of the tat where it's like my unmade bed, or, you know, some of that gibberish, or like half a cow stored in a piece of plexiglass. Like, I'm not a big fan of all that crap.
I think a lot of that art is made for other artists rather than regular people,
or made for shock value.
Yeah, it's
like, but sometimes you see
look
something.
At this. I have an unmade bed, and I'm going to display that. Like that's a talking point. I mean, we all know Tracy Emin's unmade bed, right? Which I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's basically the bed that she slept in, and like it tells all this story. You look around it, there's like cigarette ends and underwear and stuff, and it's like, you know, she had sex in this bed. It's like it was her bed. So there's a story to the bed. And it is interesting to say, a bed, here you go. You know, what do you think of this? It's at least thought-provoking. And everybody talks about it. The cow and formaldehyde, we may complain, but everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
So art should start people talking, even if the only conversation is that art, is at least a conversation about art.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather people were talking about it than just going, oh, no, I don't care, no, I don't know anything. Like, it is interesting.
Yeah, and exactly.
I get to a lot of galleries as well, and I also roll my eyes at a lot of the shit they put in there. My worst ones are the ones where you go in. I went into the Tate Gallery, not Tate Modern, but Tate Britain, and one of the exhibits is just 3 fluorescent bulbs on the wall, right? That's it. Just 3 fluorescent lights on a wall. And that angers me, because I think, what is that? Like, it's literally 3 lights on a wall. It's cheap. It feels like they're attempting to make art without putting any fucking thought into it. But you know they agonized over what color to make those 3 lights and what angle to hang them at. It's like it's a big deal to that person.
As I've grown older, and this may sound totally weird, but I have found that I quite enjoy the feeling of a little bit of kind of like eye-rolly anger that provokes. Like, a little bit like, I don't really like eating certain things like olives. I don't think I really like olives, but I like how the taste of not liking them. Does that make sense?
No,
I like
it absolutely does not make sense.
I don't know. I like the experience of not liking things sometimes.
You enjoy how much you don't enjoy olives. Is that what you're telling me? You revel in not enjoying them.
Yeah, I suppose so. I like the experience of figuring out why I don't like it in a way.
Lunatic.
I don't know. It's weird. Sometimes something. I think that's the case sometimes with these things that are a bit sort of gross, like kimchi is pretty disgusting tasting as well. And
what
Korean pickled cabbage
amazing,
that tastes like
dude.
a flipping old stinky dishcloth.
Oh,
kimchi.
You don't like olives or kimchi. I mean,
well,
I'm sorry.
I do. No, the thing is, I do,
top 3 foods.
but I don't like them, but I do like them. That's the weird thing, and I think a lot of things are like that, like acquired tastes, like Marmite and things like this. Give
me your top 3 foods. Top 3 foods. Like you have to have dinner right now. What are the 3 things you'd be like, ooh, I know what I'll have. These are the 3 things I'll whack in there. Boom, that's going to be delicious. Go on, let's hear
3 things together?
It's like a
meal with 3 things in it. 3 things in a meal. What are they going to be?
Well, my favourite sort of foods, I guess, are.
If you say quinoa or quinoa, I'm gonna hunt you down.
No. It's got to be like a spicy pizza. Do you know what I mean? Like with a nice pizza. Honestly, like I think the pizza is one of the things that has stopped me from being vegan, because I'd love to be vegan, but I love cheese too much,
right?
And it's impossible. Halloumi's really, really good, isn't it? I love halloumi and things.
I was going to say, for my 3, I would have halloumi. I would have like maybe some red pepper, and then like some diced onions. 3.
I mean,
that would be fucking perfect.
I mean, you can have all of that on a pizza.
That's a meal right there.
Think about it.
You could eat that bowl of that, and it'd be fine.
What are you going to say, fucking P-Flex? Donuts, beer, and cigarettes.
Cider.
First of all, I don't smoke cigarettes. It's a vape, all right, and it's only water vapor, of course. Beer would definitely be on my list. Beer or wine or cider, some kind of alcohol. would
but
be
again,
on there.
beer, like, I think the stronger beers, like, I'm not a fan of, like, ales and stuff, but again, I can drink one and be like, I wonder why, I don't really like this, but I like it in the sense. Like, they're very acquired tastes, and people don't, you don't grow up as a kid liking the taste of beer or wine.
No.
When does that happen? When does that flip come?
Well, your taste buds are different when you're younger as well. Like,
but also when you realize the benefits of.
But is it
beer.
just
like when you start smoking, it tastes.
Is
horrible.
it just a peer pressure thing though? When you're like sort of 17, 16, 17, 18, when you're like, I've got to like beer because it's what men like, so I'm going to keep drinking it until I like it. Do you know what I mean?
I guess so. I mean, there are some people who just never get used to the taste of it. They just never really like it. But if I'm really had a hard day, there is nothing like cracking open a beer and having it. That's
exactly.
it.
And that happened to me. That definitely happened to me. And it was like, I don't know, I can't pinpoint the time when that happened, but there was a long time when I didn't like beer. And then one time, it was like a really hot day, and I got home and I cracked one open out the fridge, and I sat there and I was like, "Holy shit! I really enjoyed this." And I was like, "When did this happen to me?"
I'll tell you what it is.
Suddenly,
what do children, generally speaking, not have? They don't have any concerns. They don't have any cares. They don't have any stress. They don't have any worries. They're children, right? Yeah. When you're a grown up, what the beer does is it mingles with the bitterness that you feel for being an adult. There's the sadness and the anger. And
that's what it is, because kids
becomes
can't.
A flavour. They don't have any bitterness in them.
Well, no, but they do. Yes, that's right. So the reason that kids don't like Brussels sprouts and broccoli and all these green vegetables is because they can taste the bitterness.
Yeah.
And as you grow up, you can't. Your
the
taste
bitterness
buds,
that you feel overpowers the bitterness of the flavour, and eventually,
that's right.
You can just taste it. It's true flavour.
It's true. Oh my God,
that's so true though.
Sad.
There's nothing like having, like, on a hot day when you're out doing like some roofing or something, and you just like open a bottle of suds, and God, there's nothing better. If you've done any roof work in your life, you'll know.
If you've done something that was warrants,
you're up there with Morgan
reward.
Freeman, and you're just hot as hell, and it's
feel like a man feels more like a man if he can have a bottle of suds.
Serving time, you just need those suds, man. Jeez.
Honestly, I have done very little hard outdoor labor in my life, but any time that I have, and there's a beer involved, tell you what, it's all worth it.
I
it's
usually
almost
have
glorious days.
It's almost like what Lewis was saying about not enjoying something. Just to he enjoys not enjoying it. The difference here, I think, is if you do, like, let's say you do a really hard bit of work. I had to pull up a massive tree stump in the garden a couple of years back. It's huge. So I cut down the tree, had to ship all the stuff to the tip and all that, and then I had the tree stump, and I got a pickaxe, and I dug this fucking thing out of the ground. It took me like 2 hours of hacking and digging and sawing. Finally got it out of the ground, got it in the bin, job done, and Mrs. F handed me a cold beer, and I was like, this single beer erases all that hard work and everything. In an instant, you've just like, this was worth it for this moment when I can relax after a piece of hard work, and I've got this cold beer, and that beer is the signal to your brain that says, the work day is done. Please, now we just sit around complaining about stuff.
Numb my body. I need this.
Oh my God. And do you know what because she was watching you in the garden.
She was loving it.
And Todd came round and painted her
portrait,
from behind, looking out at you working.
But she looked out and saw a man working. Who did she bring a beer to? Todd or me? Me.
Well, she
only to keep you busy while she went back in to speak to Todd. She hid your claw hammer as well. So
Jesus, fucking Todd.
No, it's true. Like if I go out and mow the lawn and it's like a really sunny day or whatever, sometimes after I'm done, I just sit down outside and just have like a cold glass of cider, and that's really nice too. It's just like nice. Just hits the spot.
I could go for a drink right now, but it's only midday.
Man, So like a couple of weeks ago, I have to mow my lawn once a week because if I leave it too long, and this happened recently, pardon me, I left it too long, okay? I left it like 3 weeks. I was just being really lazy, and I left my lawn for 3 weeks. And holy crap, do not leave your lawn grow for 3 weeks, okay? Because it becomes a jungle. And then when you actually do go to mow it, it takes like 5 times as long as it would normally take.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly emptying out the bag.
Oh, shit.
It's getting all fucking jammed up because when grass gets super long, it retains a lot of water, and it's like all wet and shit, and like it just gets all jammed up. Oh, it's the worst. So I left it for like 3 weeks. I went out and mowed it. And like, even when I was done, I was not satisfied because it was like really clumpy still. There was like lots of like strands, but I was tired, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it. And then next week when I do the mow, I'll get it looking like tip top. And it did. Like the week after, it was fine. But what I did was I had this huge bag of grass clippings, okay? So I put it into the trunk of the car, and I was like, okay, you know, in a minute, like after I've like composed myself, I'm just going to take this down to the dump and put it like in the green waste or whatever, and then that's me done. And then I fucking forgot to do it, okay? And then a couple of days went by, and I was like, shit, I forgot to take those clippings to like the dump or whatever, but they're probably fine just sitting in the back of the car. And it was like pretty hot, and like the sun was beating down in the car, and the car was all hot and stuff. So after a couple of days, get in the car to take my son somewhere, and I open the door, and I was like, what is that smell? Like, it smelled like there was a dead body in the car. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy shit, like, has somebody pranked me, like thrown a shit into my car or something? Like, I don't know what's going on here. So I sat down, and I was like, oh, fuck, it's those grass clippings, isn't it? Like, I left the grass clippings in the car for a couple of days. So I go in the trunk. Yeah, so I go in the trunk, and I open it up, and like the smell just like almost knocked me over. So, fuck yeah, it's definitely these grass clippings. Like, I should not have left them in here.
Todd's body.
So I opened the bag because it was like kind of closed. Like, it wasn't tied closed or anything, but it was just folded over closed. I opened the bag, and I almost barfed. It was like full of fucking like spider webs, and like there was like these things moving around, and like all the grass was like all wet and gross and stuff. And it was like in the middle of forming its own like brand new ecosystem in there. It
was mulching.
Like, it was fucking gross. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And even taking it to the dump, like, I had to basically take it to the dump immediately because it was so gross. Took it up there. And even as I was dumping it out, I was like almost barfing. Like, it was really fucking gross. So if you're a dad out there and you're leaving your lawn for like 3 weeks, don't fucking leave the clippings lying around, okay? Dispose of those things immediately. Otherwise, you're in for some trouble. Like, it's
Jesus Christ, you are learning some serious dad lessons about not fucking procrastinating. It sounds like you're procrastinating on the lawn, you're procrastinating on throwing the fucking clippings away.
I got another tip.
Shit, the spider
webs. If you ever have some old cardboard, right, and you're leaving it out the back, let's say you've had a delivery of a load of furniture, you've got big old boxes. You leave the cardboard around the side of the house. I did this last year. Left this cardboard around. I was going to take it to the tip. I forgot. It got rained on. It was in contact with the ground. When I went to move that cardboard, it was teeming with worms. Like,
oh my God.
They crawl into it and they like compost it all up or something. It was disgusting. It smelt appalling. And there was literally earthworms raining out of these cardboard boxes. I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah, they shit everywhere constantly too.
But it's like they live in the fucking cardboard. I didn't understand it. Because I guess it's like when it gets wet, it's like mulched wood. So they fucking love it.
Yeah.
But they were coming from all around. I mean, the whole neighborhood, all the neighborhood's worth of worms must have heard there was a fucking party around the side of my house.
Oh shit. I've got a bunch of cardboard outside my place. I missed the fucking pickup today, and I'm not here next week.
Oh, you got to get rid of that cardboard. Like, you're gonna have a worm infestation if you're not careful.
I am. Oh, fuck me.
So where I live, worms not so bad, but we get a lot of snails for some reason, like tons of snails. So like when I was mowing the lawn after like 3 weeks, there were just like these clumps of snails hiding in like the tall grass everywhere and stuff. Like, every once in a while, I'd go over a patch and I'd think like, oh, it's going to be a smooth patch. And you hear like, and it's like, oh shit, I just killed like 50 snails. Like, just like accidentally went, I couldn't see them, right? But they're all hiding down like deep in the grass sort of thing. And they just like sort of clump up and like all huddle together. So it was like, just looked like a battlefield after it was done. Like all these like busted up snail shells and snail guts everywhere. And
that's probably all those spider webs were. Oh fuck
yeah!
Or maybe the spiders climbing to eat all the dead snail remains.
And then slugs too. We get quite a few slugs. I don't know if it's just like
this is very visceral.
On the island, yeah. And then one time I was outside getting some stuff off the washing line. And I'd let the grass again grow really long, like, because fuck, I'm so lazy. Like,
oh my God, they climbed up the grass onto the washing.
No, I saw this slug, and honestly, it was like the size of my foot. It was so fucking huge. I couldn't believe it. I ran inside, and I was like, told my wife, and she's like, oh, well, okay, we're never going outside again. I was like, there's a huge slug back there. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's gigantic. Like, and it's just slowly making its way, God knows where. But like, I'd say a couple of hours at least. Don't go out there until he's moved along.
Some sort of D&D slime.
Where does it go though? Like, where would he even live? I couldn't find like any rabbit-sized holes anywhere that he might have like gone into. So like, I don't know where he goes. But like, he's huge. He's back there.
Size of your foot.
It was huge. It was like orange and black as well. It was really disgusting.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't even know. I have no idea what you're... If anyone out there knows what this could be, Maybe it's a new form of life that's just spawned from
We're
your
going to need an APB on this slug before it causes some more trouble out there.
Sure, it's not one of your kids' toys.
No, it was not. It was definitely moving. It was a little bit dark outside, so I didn't get like a super good look at it, but it was definitely a slug, and it was definitely alive and moving.
Are you sure it wasn't like a toad or something?
Like a dying cat or something. No, not like a toad. I don't know. I don't know if we get big toads. Like we get like little frogs, but I've never seen like a really big toad in Jersey.
Because they're fucking hideous. Like a big toad. That is one ugly fucking animal, and they can be kind of weird orangey browny colors. Could have been a toad.
I think the brighter color they are, the more dangerous they are. Like that's the nature's way of saying like, don't fucking get in my grill because I'm poisonous or whatever.
Jesus Christ!
Like if they're like neon blue or whatever, don't go near that frog.
Well, there you go. I think that is enough for today. That was quite a podcast. We covered art. And
it was a real roller coaster ride, this one, actually.
And mowing the lawn.
It went everywhere, yeah.
Got some great advice out there. I need to go home and put get my cardboard sorted out.
Yeah, you're going to be stressing about that all day now.
God.
Jeez.
Yeah, thank you for the tip,
Wormfest 2017.
It's been out there at least maybe a week or two.
Sort that shit out.
It's going to be out there 2 weeks more guaranteed.
God damn.
Get on it.
Maybe I'll see if I can put it in the shed or something. All right. Take it easy, guys.
Peace out.
Thanks
Thank
for listening,
you.
everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.